In the headlines, ADC warns National Assembly against plan to shift 2027 elections to 2026. Father of murder victim thanks President Tinubu for granting Mariam Sanda pardon. Stakeholders push for recalibration of Nigeria's revenue allocation system. And on the foreign scene, Madagascar Parliament to impeach President Rajoelina for desertion of duty. Hello, good evening, and welcome to News Update on Trust TV. I am Dorcas Yakubuzala. We begin with political matters. The African Democratic Congress has warned the National Assembly against its proposal to amend the Electoral Act and move the 2023 general elections to November 2026. In a statement by its National Publicity Secretary, Bolaji Abdullahi, the party said bringing the polls forward would disrupt governance, shorten the effective period for development programs, and keep the country in a constant campaign mode. The National Assembly had on Monday unveiled plans to adjust the electoral timetable as part of proposed amendments to the 2022 Electoral Act, a move aimed at ensuring all election disputes are settled before the May 29, 2027 handover date. But the ADC cautioned lawmakers against politically motivated changes, urging them instead to focus on strengthening democratic institutions and electoral integrity. The proposal has sparked mixed reactions nationwide, with some Nigerians viewing it as a reform move, while others see it as a potential threat to stability. Now, President Bola Tinubu has forwarded the name of Professor Joash Amupitan to the Senate for approval as the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Tinubu's correspondence was read on the floor of Tuesday's plenary by the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio. The report.
A key development on the Senate order paper for the day was President Tinubu's letter to the Senate nominating Professor Joash Amupitan as the new INEC Chairman. The request is in line with Section 154, Section 1 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. The nomination has been referred to the Committee of the Whole for screening and, if found suitable, approval.
I am pleased to present for confirmation by the Senate the appointment of Professor Joash Amupitan, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, as Chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Attached Shewi is his curriculum vitae.
President Tinubu, in another request through a different letter, sought confirmation of the Senate of the appointments of Mrs. Ayo Omidiran as the new Executive Chairman of the Federal Character Commission, FCC, and 28 others as Federal Commissioners, one of whom is Dr. Ibrahim Abdullahi from Kwara State.
Honorable Mrs. Ayo Omidiran from Osun State as Chairman. Honorable Obinna Oriaku, Abia State as Commissioner. Mrs. Bema Madai Adamawa as Commissioner. Mrs. Eunice Thomas Akwa Ibom State as Commissioner.
Senate President. In other Senate development, Senator Smaila Dahoga Kaila has formally left the People's Democratic Party PDP to join the All Progressive Congress APC. The Senate President says Senator Kaila cited eternal crisis and loss of strategic direction within the People's Democratic Party as key factors limiting its ability to serve effectively under that party's platform.
I hold in high regards the bold and transformative reforms initiated by the President, aimed at restoring economic stability, strengthening governance, and repositioning our nation for sustainable growth. These efforts to reflect the decisive leadership of our country, and that's what Nigeria needs. I'm confident that these reform efforts align with my legislative ideals and my enduring conviction to contribute meaningfully to Nigeria's development and democratic advancement. This is signed by Dr. Smaila Dahuwa Kaila, MBBS. Dr. Kaila, congratulations.
Senator Kaila's decision follows thorough consultation with political allies and constituents in Bauchi North Central.
Now, 3 members of the House of Representatives from Kaduna State have defected from the People's Democratic Party (PDP) to the All Progressives Congress (APC). The lawmakers are Aliyu Abdullahi, representing Ikara Kubau Federal Constituency, Abdul Karim Ahmed, representing Kaduna South Federal Constituency, and Sadiq Abdullahi, representing Sabangari Federal Constituency. Their defection notices were read by Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu during Tuesday's plenary session. The move coincided with the defection of Enugu State Governor Peter Mba and other top politicians to the APC. Now, away from political matters, the biological father of the late Biliaminu Bello, who was murdered by his wife, Mariam Sanda, in 2017, has expressed gratitude to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for granting her a presidential pardon.
The House of Representatives is holding
that he personally appealed to President Tinubu to consider Mariam for clemency, saying he had long forgiven her and wanted her freed to care for her 2 young children. Speaking during a joint interview in Abuja on Tuesday with Mariam's father, Alhaji Garba Sanda, Bello said his decision was guided by faith and humanity, noting that executing Mariam would not bring back his son. Reacting to concerns raised by some family members over the pardon, Bello said everyone is entitled to their opinion, but emphasized that as the biological father, he has fully forgiven Mariam. In his remarks, Alhaji Garba Sanda commended the Bello family for what he described as a rare act of compassion and forgiveness, pledging continued cooperation between both families in raising the children in love and peace. Both families reaffirmed their commitment to forgiveness and reconciliation, saying they have chosen faith and compassion over pain and bitterness. Now, the House of Representatives is taking steps to improve job opportunities in Nigeria by supporting vocational and technical education. Lawmakers say this type of education will help young people gain practical skills and start their own businesses. The report.
The House of Representatives is holding this public hearing on 4 new bills that would help Nigerians get the skills they need to work and create jobs. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, firmly believes that vocational and entrepreneurship education is the link between classroom learning and real-life skills.
In a country like Nigeria, it is also born out of necessity that not everybody could afford the other formal education. Then the government thought it wise that since this cannot be created, every person will not have the opportunity to undergo the formal education that is available. This is formal education, but also alternatively, one is meant to present his kids for all-round education.
The bills propose the creation of vocational and skills training centers in Imo, Kwara, and Ondo states. Chairman of the Committee on Alternative Education, Honorable Ibrahim Aliyu, said this would make vocational learning a credible option for young people.
We must therefore tap into the strengths and opportunities of this sector to enhance our economic prospects. This is achievable given Nigeria's rich human capital, characterized by a youthful population eager to acquire vocational training and entrepreneurship skills for self-sufficiency and national progress.
Other groups at the hearing all supported the idea. They asked for more inclusion of civil society groups in managing the new centers.
Ezuezumbise firmly believes, and Ugumbise firmly believes, that the establishment of the Federal Institute of Technical Education and Skill Acquisition, Mbise, will significantly benefit the people of Mbise and its surrounding areas. strengthen Nigeria's human capital base, reduce unemployment, reduce youth restiveness, and enhance national development.
Now, the fact that this will reduce crime rates in our kingdom is also very imperative to us. This is a clear bill that will redirect the attention of our teeming youth, not only in Arugo Kingdom, Arugo Ijo Kingdom, but the entire Ondo South Senatorial District to productive venture.
With rising unemployment, lawmakers hope these new centers will help more Nigerians gain skills, find jobs, and start businesses, leading to real national development.
Now, a Kano State High Court has ordered the remand of the owner of Asaba Orphanage Home, Ogugua Christopher, over allegations of kidnapping and trafficking hundreds of Kano children to Delta State. Christopher, along with Hawa Abubakar and Nkechi Odeline, faces a 15-count charge of conspiracy and kidnapping, alleged to have occurred between June 2016 and December 2021. At Tuesday's hearing, the prosecution sought the remand of Christopher after the two co-defendants failed to appear in court, while the defense requested that he be kept in NAPTIP custody. Justice Amina Adamu Aliu ordered his remand in a correctional facility and directed NAPTIP to produce the other accused persons at the next sitting, adjourned to October 27th for trial. The case stemmed from a 2022 petition by the Protection Against Abduction and Trafficking of Our Children, Patamok, to NAPTIP over the disappearance of more than 600 Kano children, 8 of whom were later rescued. This is news update on Trust TV coming up after the break. Stakeholders push for recalibration of Nigeria's revenue allocation system. This and many more when we return. Do stay with us. Welcome back from the break. In case you're just joining, this is news update on Trust TV. Let's take a look at our top stories again. We told you that ADC wants National Assembly against plan to shift 2027 elections to 2026. And father of mother victim thanks President Tinubu for granting Mariam Sanda pardon. Now, moving on to more stories, the issue of revenue allocation has always occupied a central place in Nigeria's political and economic evolution. From the pre-independence Philipson Commission of 1946, successive governments have sought a formula that balances the principles of equity, efficiency, autonomy, and national unity. It is against this backdrop that stakeholders in the sector have come together to push for recalibrating the Nigeria's revenue allocation formula. Noel Sampson has more.
Nigeria's current revenue allocation formula was last reviewed in 2002 under President Olusegun Obasanjo, giving 52.68% to the federal, 26.72% to the states, and 20.60% to local governments. Although the Revenue Mobilization Allocation Fiscal Commission proposed a new formula in 2022, it was not approved, leaving the 2002 arrangement still in use. Despite the diversification of the economy, population has surged beyond 230 million, expenditure patterns have been expanded, and the structure of the government itself has changed. This is why stakeholders are insisting on the importance of recalibrating the revenue allocation formula and how committed is the government supporting this review.
The choices we make here will shape the capacity of governments to deliver education to our children, healthcare to our citizens, and infrastructure to our communities.
We're looking at the errors within the Constitution, the errors within the Establishment Act of the Commission to ensure that there is a revised formula that recognizes the allocations of resources that we have as a country, and also look at the international best practice that recognizes our 3 tiers of government and hold the Commission itself accountable on errors of mobilization of resources and ensuring that there is clarity on allocation.
The evolution of our security challenge and the need to put more money in security highlights one clear gap, because the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission should have the opportunity to draw the nation's attention to that. Look, maybe there is an irreducible minimum of spending that needs to take place for security, and when it is not taking place, we are in trouble.
What measures are needed to ensure transparency, accountability in the use of allocated funds? Legal and economic experts shared recommendations on how to recalibrate Nigeria's revenue allocation formula to promote fairness, justice, and equity.
Section 162 and also maybe paragraph 32 of the third schedule to our constitution to be changed to give some more teeth to the commission in making recommendations, which in its advice, and also so that it is taken more seriously and other stakeholders also are also taken on board.
The key fundamental components of the revenue allocation formula are 1, population, 2, landmass, 3, internal revenue generation, and also the special funding. It is left for us as elites in this country to sit down and holistically look at our developmental aspirations and come with a consensus that speaks to the developmental needs and realities of the country.
For me, the percentage is not really important, but to understand what kind of load that you are giving to the state or to the federal government. So there is a need to understand how to the evolution of power exists, and therefore to make that allocations in accordance of the responsibility of all the tiers of government.
However, civil society organizations and many Nigerians argue that this is not the right time to review revenue allocation in Nigeria, especially as dominant public discussion centers on the push for pay rises for political office holders. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, (NEC), is investigating the deaths of 38 electricity workers who died on duty between April and June 2025, with Kano accounting for at least 10 fatalities. NEC's second quarter 2025 report shows that all deaths occurred in the distribution segment, with Ibadan, Kano, Benin, Eko, and Jos Discos responsible for 63% of the incidents. The Commission expressed concern over persistent safety lapses despite repeated warnings and pledged to enforce the Electricity Act 2023 to hold operators accountable and protect workers. While no fatalities were recorded by the Transmission Company of Nigeria, it reported 11 cases of asset damage caused by fires, explosions, and vandalism. Operation Enduring Peace, the multi-security task force maintaining peace in Plateau, Bauchi, and Kaduna states, has dismissed claims by a clergyman alleging that Fulani groups are mobilizing to attack a farming community in Plateau State. The force spokesperson, Major Samson Zakom, described the claim made by Reverend Dachomo in a viral video as baseless and capable of inciting public tension. According to Major Zakom, the video surfaced amid heightened tension following the killing of a herder and 36 cows, as well as the rustling of 49 others in Birkin-Ladi local government area. He said the Reverend's claims of a planned attack, alleged collusion by security forces, and a call for local youths to arm themselves were all false and intended to erode public confidence in security agencies. The task force warned individuals spreading such narratives to desist or face legal action, assuring residents that troops within the area will continue intensive patrols to maintain peace and safety. And now in business, the International Monetary Fund (IMF) has raised Nigeria's 2025 economic growth forecast to 3.9%, citing stronger domestic fundamentals, improved investor confidence, and resilient oil output. In its October 2025 World Economic Outlook, the IMF said reforms in energy and financial sectors, alongside exchange rate adjustments, had boosted transparency and capital inflows. Inflation is projected to ease from 31.4% in 2024 to 23% in 2025, while Nigeria's current account surplus is expected to narrow to 5.7% of GDP. The IMF noted that rebasing Nigeria's national account with 2019 as a new base year raised nominal GDP by over 40%, capturing growth in the digital and informal sectors. It urged sustained fiscal discipline, credible monetary policy, and faster reforms to strengthen economic stability and inclusive growth. Now away from Nigeria, Madagascar's political crisis has escalated sharply as the country's parliament voted on Tuesday to impeach President Andry Rajoelina for what lawmakers called desertion of duty. The motion passed with 130 votes, well above the two-thirds majority required in the 163-member National Assembly, marking a major setback for the embattled leader. Lawmakers accused Rajoelina of abandoning his constitutional duties and failing to address growing political and economic unrest. However, the presidency has dismissed the impeachment as illegal and without merit, insisting the president remains in office. Rajoelina, who has reportedly gone into hiding, has faced weeks of anti-government protests demanding his resignation and new elections. If upheld by the Constitutional Court, the impeachment could mark the end of his turbulent presidency in the Indian Ocean nation. And now in sports, former Super Eagles left back Taye Taiwo has expressed disappointment over the departure of Jose Pizarro, saying the Portuguese coach should have been retained to lead Nigeria through the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers. Pizarro stepped down after guiding the Super Eagles to the final of the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations AFCON, when Nigeria lost 2-1 to host Ivory Coast. Although the 65-year-old coach admitted he was emotionally and physically drained, he also hinted at a desire to stay on and win silverware with the squad. In an interview, Taiwo stated that retaining Pizarro could have improved Nigeria's qualification hopes. Reflecting on his own era in the national team, the former Olympic Marseille defender highlighted the importance of communication and discipline amongst players, especially in defense. Taiwo also drew a contrast between his generation of players and the current squad, noting a lack of insight into the team's chemistry today. And that's a wrap on News Update. Do not forget to follow us across all social media platforms for more programs, news, and documentaries. I am Dorcas Yakubuzala. Bye for now.